A lot of guys, you know what, you're looking for coaching or somebody to help you, guide you through these mazes. That's pretty much like a forest, really. And if we had somebody that actually could take you by the hand and help you and actually take you from right throughout the forest to find that pot of gold, what would you guys say? You know what? We finally found somebody who's a big authority that is doing very well that can actually help you step by step. Right, Christy?
Absolutely. I found Sean Mize's program a few months ago. I signed up, I bought his WSO, and I was hooked because a lot of you are watching this and you're lost. You've been online for a long time. You haven't made a dollar. Well, that's when I began to see my internet career turn around, and I was able to go full time. I would sit late at night, and I just told Sean this, and I would listen to his podcast from his program. And that's how I learned what the pieces were that I was missing to make money online. So if you're not making money online, you're about to meet an expert that you're going to be thrilled to meet. And we want to welcome Sean Mize to the James and Christy Show. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Well, hello, Christy. Hello, James. Thank you so much for having me here. You got to be careful. You're going to give me a big head with all those things that you said. Thank you very, very much. Good to be here. It's an honor.
Welcome to the show, Sean. I was going to ask you, say that I just first started, and I don't even know my way around. I haven't made a dollar on the internet yet. What would you actually give me as some advice, just how to start and really to make my first money so I can actually maybe make a car payment or even a house payment?
Well, that's a great question. I tell you what, the very first thing that I would recommend that you do is to kind of back away from the table and say, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop grasping and groping at these big get-rich-quick promises. And I think that, you know, that's one thing that really, really holds people back when they're getting started. The second thing that I would say would be to get some solid, rock-solid training, not from somebody who's peddling, peddling pieces here and there, but from somebody that's done the exact same business that you want to do. So a lot of times what happens is folks will, say, hey, I want to do this type of business, but they're following somebody else because they like the sound of their voice. They should only be following somebody that's doing exactly what, that they want to do. The third thing that I would say, and this is really when the rubber's going to meet the road, and that is, I think somebody's got to say, hey, what are my interests? What can I really get passionate about? Because I think that in this industry, it's so easy for folks to say, I'm just going to make money. I'm just going to sell anything. They go out there and they find the top seller, but they don't understand it. So they can't give customer service. They can't answer questions. They don't care. And, I understand. I mean, if you had me, setting up a scrapbooking business, I'd be like, look, I don't care. Let me just hire somebody that loves scrapbooking. But if you're going to run your own business, you've got to have something that you really care about. And then that something that you really care about has got to be something other people in the world care about. So it can't be underwater basket weaving. It's got to be something other people care about and that they have questions that need to be answered. And the next thing that I would say, and this is what I did when I first got started, and a lot of people say, hey, go out and do this. I did this. This is how I built my business the first 5 months, is go out there, start putting content online for the one single purpose of getting subscribers on a list. Nothing else. Not to make money, not to sell them anything, just get subscribers on a list. Then the next thing that I would do is I would start coming in. I did this personally when I first got started, is I would send an email out every day. I would send an email with great content. But about once or twice a week, I would send an email out that said, hey, I want to help you personally. What are you struggling with? And folks would write me back personally. They'd tell me what they were struggling with. I would do two things. Number one, I'd answer their question. And the great thing for me is when I was getting started, if I didn't know the answer, it's no big deal. I'd go find the answer for them, teach it to them anyway, and then I knew it for the future. But then I would copy and paste the email that I sent to them onto a Word document and then edit it up just a little bit, and that would become an article that would go online as content. So now we're kind of duping up. Now in today's world, I would also take that article, I would split it into 5 pieces, make it into a PowerPoint. So a PowerPoint would have 5 slides, and then if you're just starting out, you just read your article over those 5 PowerPoints and slap it up on YouTube, because YouTube's pretty popular these days. We could also take that as we did the recording, and we put that on as an iTunes podcast. So all of those things, it's sort of like a feedback loop. We're able to find out exactly what people want. We're able to create content so we can get more people in. Then what I would do, once I had maybe 30 of those responses, then I take all those responses, I copy them onto a new outline, and then that becomes the outline for a product to sell. So this is where the car payment comes in. So everything we've done so far is what people miss. They try to go straight to the car payment. Now we're going to do the car payment. So now we got a few hundred subscribers on our list. Now we write them and we say, you know, you've been asking these questions. I've been helping you. I'm getting ready to write a book, or I'm getting ready to create a new training program. Is there anything else you'd like me to include in the program? And they send you a bunch of questions. I go, and this is how I wrote my first 13 ebooks. This is how I created probably my first 15 audio training programs. I just took all their questions. I put them on an outline. When I was writing, I would just write answers to all of the questions. Those would become chapters. And then when I was doing audio, I was just answering questions as if I was doing a live interview. That became the audio. Then all of the people that have sent me questions, they want the answers. They want the deeper answers. When I wrote the sales page, all of my bullets would then be all the questions. So every question somebody asked would just become a bullet. So instead of the question, I would turn it into how to do whatever it was. With the ebooks, I would just say, okay, page 67, page 90. It was just straight from their words. In fact, James, one time, this was so funny. I had fun with this. Just as a test on the bullet points, I put the person's name next to their questions. I had like a whole bunch of people's names. And then I went back a week later and said, okay, who bought this thing? Almost every single person that I marked their name bought. It was just a simple test. It wasn't significant or anything, but it was a simple test. And for me, it proved that what I'd been doing for 6 months or a year at that point worked. And the proof was in the pudding. When I send a sales letter out, it didn't have to be pretty. These people liked me. They knew me. I didn't have to have it didn't have to have any kind of persuasive language. I just said, look, a week ago you asked me to write this and create it. Now I created it. Here it is. This is everything you're going to learn. These are the 94 bullet points. Here it is. And then they buy it. And then if you want to go past the car payment, so that's the car payment right there. So I think it was my fourth, August, September, October, November. So in October, my third month in the business, when I wrote my first ebook, I did $900. That's the car payment. And then what I did the second month, so the fourth month, but the next month I wrote another ebook, I did $1,600. Now we got 2 car payments. Why? Because probably 50% of the people that buy that first item go on and buy the second one because they love the first one, plus we're bringing in these new subscribers. How does that sound, James, for making a car payment?
I'll tell you, that's a mouthful. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I love it because that is just as simple as it can be, really. It's just straightforward. You understand exactly. Well, what I'm saying basically is that if you help enough people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want at the end.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We really got to give first. We really got to give first because we've got to cut through the clutter. So many guys out there and gals out there are just selling. But if we deliver first by delivering the goods, then we can figure out exactly what to put in the training. And then the last thing, when we create that training, it's got to be phenomenal training. You know, the sound quality doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to look pretty. But when they listen to it and they take notes, just like, James, my guess is any person listening to the sound of my voice right now could take what I just shared, and they don't need any additional training. They can just take what I just shared, go to YouTube and do a couple of searches if they don't know what a PowerPoint is. I mean, and literally, they could duplicate the process that I just gave, and they don't need to buy any more training from anybody to get started with what we just did. Just take notes and go do it. Turn off all the distraction. Turn off everything that's distracting and just work for 2 hours a day on that model that I just shared, James. It's just that easy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. I was going to ask you, because you're a master of a lot of different areas, like when we do build that list, how many times would you actually email a day? Maybe once or twice, or what would you suggest?
But here's what I recommend, and I've recommended this for a long time, is that you should never mail more than your ability to deliver phenomenal content. So if somebody, the problem with the one-size-fits-all thing is, I can get away with mailing my list 3 times a day because 2 of those 3 emails are going to deliver so much content that somebody's going to learn something, and they're going to want 3 more tomorrow. But you take a beginner that's only working 2 hours a week and only knows 5 minutes worth of material each week, and he tries to send out 1 email a day, the whole thing's going to bomb. If somebody's only working an hour a week, they probably don't have time to deliver more than 1 email a week. Somebody's working 20 hours a week, and they could really put their head into it, really deliver some great content, maybe an email a day, probably an email every other day. Somebody's working full-time, they're genuinely meeting needs, maybe they can mail once a day. If that feels good, they can mail twice a day. The biggest danger is for somebody to come in, they build up a list of 300 or 400 people, they start seeing the dollars come in when they do their first promotion, and they go, okay, great, I'm going to promote this, I'm going to promote that, I'm going to promote this, and start sending email after email. The list response goes down, they begin to get a dead list, they start getting on spam lists, et cetera, and their whole business bombs, they don't understand why.
Sean, that's awesome. And I love your teaching is so simple to understand. That's why it's genius, and it really has helped me personally. My question would be, if someone was a complete newbie and they heard what you had to say, you have to overcome the objections in your own mind. If they said, oh, yeah, but can I do that? What do I do today? What's my very first thing to do?
The very first thing that somebody needs to do, it's tough because there's 2 categories of people. One category knows that the niche that they want to be in. They know that they're a health professional. They want to teach people about diabetes. They know that they crochet and they want to have a crochet membership. So for that person in that category, I would say the first thing that you need to do is to get a simple website up. It's real easy in WordPress these days. 20 minutes, you can have a WordPress site up. Get a squeeze page plugin so that you can put a squeeze page on your website, and then write a 5 to 10 page document, or if you like video, do a 5-minute YouTube video and make that the download. Teach something. So if you're teaching about diabetes, what are 5 things people can do to help reduce their insulin dependency? If somebody's doing crochet, what's a nice new stitch that you can do that'll spice up the crocheting that you're doing? So just one tip. That's the giveaway. They're going to link that up to the squeeze page. Once that squeeze page is there, that's the first step. See, this is what's so hard, Christy, is that folks want the one step. There isn't one step.
Right.
It's sort of like, we could talk about if we wanted to build a coffee shop. You could say, well, what's the first step to doing that? Well, the very first step to building a coffee shop is to decide what town you want to put it in. But that doesn't make you a coffee shop. It doesn't even get you close. There's like 100 things that have to be done. And if you don't have all 100 of them, you don't have a coffee shop. If you don't have workers, if you don't have a cash register, if you don't have coffee, if you don't have a lease, if you don't have outfits, if you don't have running water, you don't have a coffee shop. And that's really the problem with the online world right now, is that there's this idea that we can do it in 7 steps, and so folks want that first step. I think the very most important thing, I'll get back to that step in just a moment, Christy. I get long-winded about this because there's no way to do it in 1 step.
Right.
It's just not possible, and that's what gets people tripped up. I think that the most important thing for people to recognize is that no matter what the world tells you, no matter what the sales letter tells you, no matter what the last WSO tells you, no matter what your best friend tells you, there's no 1 step. There is 100 steps. And if you're not willing to commit to 100 steps, don't get in. Here's one more correlation. It's just like marriage. You say, what's the one key to making a marriage work? There is no one key. If you're not willing to commit to 100 things and then finds out something new the day after you get married, it's not going to work. It's 100 things. It's not one thing. So if we go back to this person that's put up that squeeze page, the next thing they need to do is they've got to determine how they're going to get people to see the squeeze page. There's 2 ways to do that, free and paid. The best way to do it free, in my opinion, is content. YouTube, podcasts, articles, etc. Content. That's the only way to do it free. Anybody that says get free guaranteed traffic, free links, none of that works. content works for free. Now, if you want to do paid, then Google AdWords or Facebook paid are two great ways to get started. But the problem with folks a lot of times is they think, okay, paid, I'm willing to spend $100. $100 will only buy you enough clicks to find out if warm-bodied people will click on your link. If somebody doesn't have a budget of, and I don't want to put a number on it, but I mean, if they don't have a budget of maybe even a couple $1,000s, they're probably throwing away every single penny if they try to do Facebook or Google or any other kind of advertising, unless they've already got something going. So if they've already got a bunch of content and they have a system that traffic is leading into and they're just supplementing it, cool. But if somebody just wants to start from scratch and say, I want to buy the traffic, they need to have a significant budget for the testing. So that's category one. Category two is the person that says, you know what, I just want to make a lot of money online. I don't have a niche. The very first thing that person needs to do is they need to figure out how they're going to help people. How are you going to help people? You know, offline, if I said I want to make a lot of money offline, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to help people. Am I going to serve coffee? Am I going to clean floors? Am I going to wash dishes? Am I going to clean toilets? Am I going to fix toilets? Am I going to become an electrician, an astronaut? How do I want to help people? Online, folks have to do that. And one of maybe I've said a couple of things that are really holding people back. One thing that really holds people back, Christy, they've got this idea that they can jump to step one before they figure out how they can help people. And if they do that, you know, that's sort of like going into the casino and saying, I'm going to win really, really big here, but I'm not going to learn any of the rules. I'm just going to walk up to tables. I'm going to ask the person behind the counter, what should I do with my money? And I'm only going to play with $100 bills. And I have no idea what each of the buckets are working for. And the odds of somebody winning that way is like 1 in a million. And,
right.
And it's exactly the same way online. They've really got to figure out how do they want to serve, get the money out of their mind and say, how do I want to serve?
That's so good.
Awesome.
And Sean, you've got a course that just came out today to help people understand exactly what you just taught to us. And can you tell us a little bit about it and, you know, how long it's going to be available?
Well, absolutely. So thanks so much for bringing that up. And here's the thing. The first thing I want to do is I want to dissuade anybody from getting that course if after listening to us talk for the last, 10, 12 minutes, you still believe that there's like one quick step or there's two quick steps. If you don't buy into what we just talked about, if there wasn't a light bulb that went off in your mind that says, okay, I'm willing to commit to doing it a different way, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go any further. I mean, literally, just click end right now. Be done. But if you're the kind of person that says, you know what, I got to evaluate myself. In the last 90 days, I've purchased 25 different little training programs. I listened to 5 minutes of them. I didn't like something about them. They're still on my hard drive. I've forgotten where to download them. And you're still stuck in that loop, we've got to get you out if you're willing to get out. What this program will do for you is it will give you a deeper version by like 25 times of everything I've just shared. So in the last 10 minutes, this is the broad overview. The training program, I don't even know, it's like 10 or 12 hours worth of training. Okay. Some people get scared by that. They want 1 hour. You can't learn this business in 1 hour. It's like 10 or 12 hours worth of training. It's the sound of my voice just like this. Ums and ahs haven't been taken out of it. If I cough, they're still there. It's the real thing. You're going to take out a pencil and paper, take notes, create an action plan, go do it. Having said that, Christy, I believe wholeheartedly in these lessons. They're phenomenal lessons. They're the cream of the crop. I've taught and estimated over 700 hours of training material in the last 5 or 6 years. Wow. This is like the 10 hours that are the best of the best. I've just called the very best of the best out. Okay, now, I want to say this because best of the best for people that are getting started. I've got some best of the best that's kind of advanced that it's not part of that 10 because they wouldn't be ready for it until they get past this. This is the best of the best for getting all these first basic steps going. That's what this program is going to do. It's going to teach folks 4 things. It's going to teach you 4 things. One, it's going to teach you how to get that content out there, how to create it, and be able to put it out there. YouTube, podcasts, articles, how to brainstorm the content, that type of thing. The second thing it's going to do is it's going to teach folks how to write an original email every single day that they can send out to their list that their list will just love. The third thing it's going to do, it's just going to teach them how to create a coaching program for whatever their love is. And obviously, if somebody's just starting out brand new, has no list, no subscribers, nothing, they're probably not going to be ready to launch that coaching program in those first 30 days. They're going to know how to do it, but they probably won't have the readiness yet, and that's okay. So the fourth thing that's in there is how to create a program that you can sell, something that folks can sell to, like we talked about with James, to make that car payment. And it teaches folks step by step exactly how to create that product so they can get it online and start selling it to the people that are coming through the content, the folks that are on their email lists. Thanks for asking, Christy.
You are so welcome, Sean. And all that is golden tips. If you know, I was taking notes, and I would suggest that you do too, and listen to this again, because what just Sean shared just now is you just won't hear that anywhere else. And our thought for today is by Zig Ziglar. And Zig said, expect the best, prepare for the worst, capitalize on what comes. And if you can dream it, you can achieve it. And Sean, you know what? You have made some of my dreams come true just by listening and implementing and taking action on what you've just described. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a real joy.
You know, it was awesome, Sean. I totally appreciate it.
I do too. And we just say, click on the link below. Go check out a real-life demonstration of how to have a real business online. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks a lot. Have a great one, Sean. Appreciate everything.
Bye,
Well,
Sean.
Bye.
Thank you very much.